Have you ever found yourself stuck in the emotional labyrinth of a woman who seems to be playing games with your heart? One day she's warm and affectionate. The next, she's distant, leaving you wondering what just happened. What if I told you that there's a way to navigate this emotional roller coaster and regain control over your mind and your heart? Imagine if you had the wisdom of a Stoic philosopher, someone like Marcus Aurelius, guiding you through the complexities of love and female psychology. The good news is you can, and by the end of this video, you'll be equipped with 10 powerful insights inspired by Stoicism that will help you outsmart any woman who's playing games with your heart. But before we dive into this guide, if you're looking for more content on mastering relationships, psychology, and self-growth, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Trust me, stick around till the end, because this could change your love life forever. Now let's dive in. We've all been there. Whether it's a new romantic interest or someone you've been with for a while, sometimes women can seem unpredictable. It's as if one moment you're deeply connected, and the next, she's distant and aloof. This emotional hot and cold game can mess with your head if you let it. But what if instead of reacting emotionally, you applied the timeless wisdom of the Stoics? What if, like Marcus Aurelius, you learned to navigate love with strength, clarity, and a calm heart? Stoicism teaches us how to master our emotions, even when the situation around us seems chaotic. Let's explore how you can apply 10 key lessons from Marcus Aurelius to outsmart any woman who's playing games with your heart. 1. Control what you can, accept what you can't. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt completely powerless? Maybe you've been waiting hours, days even, for her to text you back, and your mind starts running wild with scenarios. What did I do wrong? Did I say something? Is she losing interest? It's like an endless loop of doubt and anxiety. The more you think about it, the worse you feel, right? I get it, but here's the thing: you can't control her thoughts or actions, no matter how much you might want to. You can only control one thing: your reaction to it. This idea is at the heart of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, teaches us to focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Imagine for a second that you're sailing a boat in rough waters. You can't control the waves, the wind, or the storm brewing on the horizon, but you can control how you steer the boat. You decide whether to panic and crash or to stay calm and adjust your sails. In relationships, it's the same. When she pulls back or behaves in ways you don't understand, it's easy to get sucked into overthinking. But ask yourself, what can I actually control here? Can you control her? No. Can you control your response? Absolutely. Let's dive deeper into this. When you stop focusing on what she's doing, whether she's playing hard to get, being distant, or even pulling away entirely, and instead focus on your own emotional state, something amazing happens. You become grounded. You become centered in your own strength. And here's the kicker: women are naturally drawn to men who aren't easily rattled. They can sense it. When you stop reacting and start controlling your own emotions, the power dynamic shifts. You're no longer chasing, no longer seeking validation. You're in control of you, and that's powerful. Think about your own experiences for a moment. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop obsessing over her actions, she suddenly comes back around? That's because women are wired to test men's emotional resilience. They want to see how grounded you are. By accepting that you can't control her and focusing instead on mastering your own emotions, you become the rock in the storm, a man who stands strong no matter what. So the next time she doesn't text back right away, or you feel like she's playing games, remind yourself, I control how I respond. Let go of trying to control her, and you'll find peace in the process. This is how you outsmart the emotional games, by staying grounded in your own emotional power. 2. Don't be a slave to your desires. Let's get real for a second. Have you ever caught yourself chasing after a woman's attention like your entire self-worth depended on it? Maybe she sends you a flirty message and suddenly you're on cloud nine. But then the next day she goes quiet, and it feels like the floor has dropped out from under you. Sound familiar? It's human nature to crave affection and validation, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. But here's the problem. The moment you start chasing after her validation, you become a slave to your desires. You're no longer acting from a place of confidence or self-worth. Instead, you're acting out of need. And the moment you become needy, you lose power. Marcus Aurelius had something powerful to say about this. Desires are insatiable. In other words, no matter how much validation or affection you get from her, it will never be enough if you're seeking it from a place of emptiness. The more you crave it, the more it eludes you. Think about it. Have you ever found that the more you chase after her attention, the more distant she becomes? It's like trying to hold on to water, it just slips through your fingers. Let me ask you something. Do you want to be the guy who's constantly looking for validation from a woman? Or do you want to be the man who knows his worth, whether she's paying attention or not? Here's the trick. Stop being a slave to your desires. The moment you stop needing her attention, you take your power back. And ironically, that's when she'd be drawn to you the most. Think about this in the context of your own love story. Have you ever noticed that the women who were most attracted to you were the ones you weren't chasing? The ones where you felt relaxed, confident, and self-assured? That's no coincidence. Women are attracted to men who don't need them to feel complete. So, the next time you find yourself obsessing over her attention, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am complete without her validation. Shift your focus away from what you want from her and back onto what you can give to yourself. Whether she's paying attention or not, you remain grounded, strong, and in control. This is one of the most powerful ways to outsmart emotional games. When you stop being a slave to your desires, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster, and suddenly you're the one in control, not her. 3. Practice emotional detachment. Alright, let's paint a picture. You've been dating this girl for a while, and everything's going great until one day she starts acting distant. She's not texting as much. She's canceling plans, and suddenly, your mind goes into overdrive. You start thinking, what's going on? Is she losing interest? Did I do something wrong? Your emotions are all over the place, and before you know it, you're spiraling. It feels like you're on an emotional roller coaster, and she's got the control switch. But what if I told you that you could get off that roller coaster and take back control of your emotions? This is where emotional detachment comes in, and it's one of the key principles of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In relationships, this means that your emotional state shouldn't be dictated by someone else's behavior. You need to be the one in control of your own happiness. Now, let's be clear, emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're cold or indifferent. What it means is that you don't let your emotions control you. You can care about someone deeply, but when they start playing games, you don't let it throw you off balance. You stay calm, you stay grounded, you detach from the emotional highs and lows. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a storm, but instead of being blown around by the wind and rain, you stand firm, unshaken. The storm is still happening, but it doesn't control you. Emotional detachment is about being that rock in the storm. Let's bring this back to your love life. Have you ever noticed that when you're too emotionally invested, you're more likely to react impulsively? Maybe you send a desperate text or you overthink every little thing she says. But when you practice emotional detachment, you stop reacting out of fear or insecurity. You remain calm, collected, and in control. And here's the thing, women notice this. They can sense when a man is emotionally stable and unshaken by their behavior. It's incredibly attractive. When she sees that you're not fazed by her hot and cold behavior, she starts to respect you more. She realizes that her games don't work on you. And that's when the dynamic shifts. So, the next time she starts pulling away or playing games, take a step back. Practice emotional detachment. Instead of reacting emotionally, remind yourself that you are in control of your own happiness. Whether she comes closer or pulls away, you remain steady. And trust me, this approach will not only help you outsmart the games, but it will also make you more attractive and desirable in the process. 4. Embrace solitude and self-sufficiency. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that uneasy, restless feeling when the person you're interested in goes silent for a bit? Maybe she's not replying as quickly as she used to, or suddenly her attention seems elsewhere. In those moments, doesn't it feel like the ground beneath you is shaky? That constant need for reassurance can eat away at your peace of mind. But what if I told you that the answer to that feeling isn't in her behavior, but in your ability to be comfortable in your own company? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Think about that for a second. What would it feel like if you were so content with yourself, so at peace with being alone, that whether or not she texts you back, it doesn't shake you? That's what embracing solitude is about. It's about finding strength and self-sufficiency within yourself, not from external validation. Let's talk about your own love story for a second. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop chasing someone's attention, when you just relax and focus on yourself, that's when they come back around? It's almost like magic. But it's not magic. It's the natural pull of self-confidence and independence. When you're no longer needy, when you're okay with your own company, you project an aura of self-assurance that is incredibly attractive. Women are drawn to men who don't need them to feel whole. I know it can be hard in the moment. When she's pulling away or playing games, it's easy to feel that tug to chase after her, to try to win her back. But what if, instead of chasing, you embraced the quiet strength of being alone? Imagine waking up each day, not concerned with whether or not she's reaching out, because you're too focused on living your life, pursuing your goals, and enjoying your passions. That's true freedom. Here's the kicker: the more comfortable you become with solitude, the more likely she is to chase you. Why? Because when you're not emotionally dependent on her attention, she senses that confidence. You're no longer playing the game, you've become the prize. And that's the ultimate way to outsmart any emotional game she's playing. 5. See things as they are, not as you wish them to be. Let me ask you a tough question. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw red flags in a relationship, but chose to ignore them? Maybe she was inconsistent. Or maybe there were moments when you felt something was off, but you kept telling yourself, it's just a phase, or she come around. Does that sound familiar? We've all been there. We want so badly for the relationship to work out that we start seeing things not as they are, but as we wish them to be. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change. But I'm not attached to the idea that I have to be right." This is a profound Stoic principle. See reality clearly, without letting your desires cloud your judgment. In relationships, this can be tough. We tend to romanticize situations, hoping that if we just hold on a little longer, things will get better. But what if you could free yourself from those illusions? What if you could look at the situation objectively, without letting your emotions distort the truth? Take a moment to think about your own love story. Were there times when you clung to a version of the relationship that wasn't real? It's okay, most of us do. But here's the thing, once you start seeing things as they truly are, you take your power back, you stop hoping for what could be, and you start dealing with what is. Maybe she's playing games. Maybe she's not as invested as you are. Whatever the reality, you face it head on. And here's the beauty of this approach. When you see things clearly, you can make better decisions. You're no longer stuck in a fantasy or waiting for her to change. You're in control of your life, your emotions, and your choices. And ironically, when you stop idealizing the relationship, you become more attractive because you're no longer desperate for it to work out a certain way. So stop seeing things through the lens of hope or desire. Start seeing things as they are, and you'll find a new sense of freedom and clarity in your love life. 6. Lead with logic, not emotion. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you acted impulsively, driven purely by emotion? Maybe you sent a text in the heat of the moment, or you tried to win her over when she started pulling away. In those moments, it's like your emotions are in the driver's seat, and logic is sitting in the back, helpless. But here's the question: how often has acting on emotion alone led to a good outcome? Marcus Aurelius believed that we should let reason guide us, not our emotions. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, when faced with emotional challenges, the Stoic approach is to let logic steer the ship, not impulsive feelings. This is especially important in love and relationships. Think about your love life. Have there been moments when your emotions clouded your judgment? Maybe you misread a situation, thinking she was pulling away because she didn't care, when in reality she might have been dealing with something personal. Or maybe you let jealousy take over, causing you to act in ways you later regretted. When emotions lead, they often mislead. So how do you lead with logic instead? Start by pausing before you react. When she does something that triggers an emotional response, take a step back. Ask yourself, what's the logical explanation for this? What's the smartest move I can make in this situation? Here's a little secret. Women respect men who can stay calm and collected, especially when emotions are running high. If she's playing games or testing you, it's often to see how you'll react. If you let your emotions get the best of you, you're playing right into her hands. But if you remain logical, calm, and measured, you'll outsmart her every time. Think about it. How would your love life change if you led with logic, not emotion? You'd make better decisions, you'd feel more in control, and you'd be less vulnerable to emotional games. That's the power of Stoicism in relationships. It gives you the tools to stay grounded, no matter what's happening around you. 7. Set boundaries and stick to them. Let's talk about boundaries. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you needed to set a boundary, but you hesitated? Maybe you were afraid that if you did, she'd lose interest or pull away. But here's the truth: without boundaries, relationships become messy, confusing, and emotionally draining. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In love, being a good man means knowing your worth and setting clear boundaries that protect your peace of mind. If she's playing games, you have to decide what's acceptable and what's not. Take a moment to reflect on your own relationships. Have there been times when you let things slide, even though deep down you knew they were crossing a line? Maybe she kept canceling plans last minute, or she was hot and cold with her affection. Each time you allowed those behaviors without addressing them, you weakened your own position. The key to setting boundaries is simple. Be clear about what you will and won't tolerate, and stick to it. If she crosses a line, calmly but firmly let her know. And here's the important part: don't back down. Once you've set a boundary, it's crucial to enforce it. If she continues to play games and disrespect your boundaries, it's a sign that she doesn't value the relationship the way you do. Setting boundaries isn't about being controlling, it's about protecting your emotional well-being. It's about standing up for yourself and showing that you respect yourself enough not to put up with behavior that hurts you. And here's the powerful thing: women respect men who set boundaries. When you're clear about what you expect and what you won't tolerate, you project strength and confidence. You show that you're not willing to be played with, and that makes you incredibly attractive. So think about your current relationship or dating situation. Are there boundaries that you need to set? Don't be afraid to do it. And once you've set those boundaries, hold the line. By doing so, you'll not only outsmart her games, you'll earn her respect. 8. Value your time and energy. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself spending hours, maybe even days, waiting for her to reply or trying to decode her mixed signals? Doesn't it feel exhausting? The emotional highs and lows can drain you completely, right? But here's the truth: your time and energy are your most valuable resources, and you shouldn't waste them on someone who's playing games with your heart. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, reminds us that Time is like a river, it flows on whether we realize it or not. So why would you spend your limited time on someone who isn't valuing you the way you deserve? You deserve better than that. Think about your own life for a moment. Have there been times when you've wasted precious energy stressing over someone who wasn't giving you the same attention or effort? It's okay, we've all been there. But now's the time to take back control. The more you value your time and energy, the less you'll tolerate people who play games. When you start treating your time like it's precious because it is something amazing happens. You stop chasing after people who don't prioritize you. You start focusing on those who respect your energy. And trust me, women can sense when a man values his time. It makes you more attractive because you're not easily swayed by emotional games. So, the next time you feel yourself getting pulled into someone's drama or games, remind yourself, my time is valuable. If she's not adding to your life, she's taking from it. Don't let her waste your time or your energy, because both are way too precious to be spent on someone who isn't reciprocating your efforts. 9. Don't let her define your worth. Let's be real, have you ever felt like your self-worth was tied to how much attention she was giving you? Maybe on the days when she was all in, you felt on top of the world, but the moment she pulled back, your confidence took a nosedive. It's tough, isn't it? When someone's behavior can dictate how you feel about yourself, you end up on an emotional roller coaster and it's exhausting. But here's a key lesson from Stoicism and from Marcus Aurelius himself. Your worth is not determined by anyone else. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, Marcus wrote. What does this mean in relationships? It means that how you see yourself and how you let others define your worth will shape your reality. Think about your own love story. Has there ever been a time when you let her actions or lack of action make you feel less worthy? It's time to change that narrative. Don't give someone else that much power over how you feel about yourself. The truth is, your worth isn't based on how she sees you. It's based on how you see yourself. Here's the secret. When you know your own worth, when you truly believe in yourself and what you bring to the table, you stop needing her validation. And guess what? That's incredibly attractive. When you're confident in who you are without needing constant reassurance, you project a strength that women can't help but respect. So, don't let her define your worth. You are enough as you are, and the moment you realize that, the games stop affecting you. You'll find yourself standing tall, knowing that whether she stays or goes, you'll be just fine. 10. Focus on personal growth, not just the relationship. Now, let's talk about something really important. Have you ever been so caught up in a relationship or trying to make one work that you lost sight of yourself? Maybe you spent so much time thinking about her, worrying about where things were going, that you forgot about your own growth, your own goals. Does that sound familiar? Here's the thing, while relationships are important, they shouldn't be the center of your life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." In the context of relationships, this means you shouldn't be so focused on the relationship that you forget to live your own life fully. Think about your own experiences. Have there been times when you were so wrapped up in her that you stopped focusing on yourself? Maybe you let your goals slip, or you stopped pursuing your hobbies. All because you were too invested in trying to make the relationship work. It's time to shift that focus. Here's the truth. Personal growth is what makes you a better partner in any relationship. When you focus on your own development, whether it's your career, your health, or your passions, you become more confident, more interesting, and ultimately more attractive. Women are drawn to men who are on a path of growth, not men who are just waiting around for them to decide what happens next. So instead of obsessing over the relationship, turn that energy inward. Work on becoming the best version of yourself. And trust me, when you do that, the right relationships will naturally fall into place, without all the emotional games. Remember, personal growth is the foundation of a healthy, strong relationship. And there you have it. 10. Stoic strategies to help you outsmart any woman. Playing games with your heart. Remember, relationships should enhance your life, not cause unnecessary stress or confusion. And with the teachings of Stoicism, you can rise above the emotional chaos and create a love life that's fulfilling and drama-free. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more insights on relationships, psychology, and personal growth. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next